Hello everyone, we're going to be doing a nice, gentle, easygoing project for today's session. I'm going to be using this beautiful bird picture from Skylar, which is royalty free from Pexels. I've got a selection of coloured pencils here, and I've got a HB pencil, a rubber and a sharpener, just so I can keep everything nice and sharp and accurate. Now with this, I have gone through my coloured pencils and chosen the colours that roughly relate to the image. I don't have a huge range of coloured pencils, so I'm kind of a little bit out of kilter with some of the colours I would have preferred, but we'll work with it. You know, you'll probably do the same at home. We'll just go with it. These are good quality coloured pencils by Karadash. The better the quality of pencils, usually the better the colour results on the paper, so do keep that in mind. I'd recommend first of all though just trying it and seeing whether you like coloured pencil work before getting too involved and too invested financially. So let's get started. First of all, I've got a standard HB pencil, nice and sharp here, and I'm looking at my reference image. Now I've got a A4 piece of cartridge paper. It's quite nice quality, it's smooth. It should give me good results for this type of work. I'm going to go in and I'm going to create an oval for the main body. Then I'm going to create a line to give me the angle of the tail, and I'm going to create this triangle form on the body for the wing placement and the wing size. I'm also going to then look at putting an eye line in and seeing where the eye line relates to the beak and how the beak relates to the body, and then I'll add on the head, well the what's this, mohair, that's what I was looking for, the mohair, which is quite a funky looking bird. Finally, I'll look at putting this stick running through with the leg, and then I'll start coming in and tidying up my drawing so it's more accurate. Now at this early stage of drawing, and at any early stage of drawing, you're looking at holding your pencil towards the end, whether you're left or right handed. Try and hold it in a way that it feels quite soft and delicate and light. You're not kind of tensing up your hand, it should be relaxed and comfortable. When you're holding a pencil towards the end, you'll find that automatically your pencil is quite a low angle to the paper, as you can see here. As you hold the pencil closer to the top, your angle comes straight down and you'll get a much more crisp, fine, darker line. We want the light lines at the early stage so that when we make all the errors, which you're going to do, you're not a robot, you're a human being, you will be able to rub them out. So it solves any problems with regard to making mistakes. When you're learning to draw or paint or anything like this, you will make lots of mistakes. Making mistakes is good. It teaches you where your strengths and weaknesses are, and it also teaches you next time what to change. If you don't try things, you won't know how to get better and how to develop your own skill. So don't worry about making mistakes. So start off, let's get that bird body in. You can see here, I am just creating a really rough oval circle, and then looking at getting that angle in there. Now if I wanted to check that angle was correct, I could take another pencil, and it doesn't matter what coloured or HB, and I can put my pencil along my reference image, and my reference image must be parallel to my piece of paper I'm drawing, and then I can put my pencil along the line I've drawn. Now if I'm looking straight down, as you are, these lines should run parallel. I can see that my pencil line is slightly out, so I need to tilt my line a little bit sharper to give me that nice angle to the tail. Oh, I'm going to change that now. Okay, my base is going to be a little bit bigger than this bird, but that doesn't matter. As long as it fits on the piece of paper and doesn't fall off, everything is fixable. So once I've got that in, and I'm just going to put my coloured pencil back, I'm then going to get that triangle in, my wing, that wing section that's coming down here. And you can see how scrappy and imperfect my lines are. I'm plotting, I'm just thinking at this stage. Okay, that probably needs to come down a little bit lower. So I'm looking at how much space between the tail and this area is. Then as I come up, I'm going to have the head, and the head's sitting really quite tight into this body. So I reckon the beak's going to be kind of coming around here. My eye is in line with the beak, because you can see how the eye lines up with the beak, and then my head shape's going to start coming in. Then I'm going to have my mouth, Ethan, just up there. At this stage, I'm going to look at putting my foot in, which is roughly here. He's too fat at the moment, but I'm not worried about this, so don't worry about that. And then I'm going to look at roughly placing that stick that weaves through the picture and leads the eye up to the top. Now, it's very loose, it's very simple, and that's the idea at this stage. Then you're going to slide your hand down the pencil. Now your hand should be roughly halfway down the pencil when you're getting to this point of the drawing. This means that your lines will be working more from your wrist joint, and they will be getting shorter, a little bit darker and straighter. So you can see how I'm cutting in, building up multiple lines. I'm going to start looking here. And I'm looking at this whip, so I'm looking at this space here where my finger is in relationship to this space. And this space over here, the wing is much bigger than this space. Let's check. Normally when you're drawing, you're going to end up drawing it in that first stage quite big, and it will become a little bit smaller as you work into it. I'm going to put that wing pattern in. I'm still keeping it fairly loose. I'm going to end up bringing in the head a bit further, so I'm looking at this bit and it's kind of sitting over that part of the wing. Okay, and I'm making mine a little bit darker than you probably should make yours, because I want you to be able to see it on the camera. Yours should be a little bit lighter than this. So you can see immediately I've taken out that Hunchback of Notre Dame that I set him up with. Then I'm following through and just making my beak a little bit more accurate. It's not perfect, but it's a bit better than it was. It's looking a little bit more like a bird. I'm dropping his eye down, I'm making it smaller, and I'm looking at the space between the eye and the back of the head. Now, it should be kind of coming over here with regard to the skull shape bird. Then I know to add on the hair that's going to be kind of coming back. You see that coming back? And then up. And immediately he's looking quite a different bird, isn't he, from a moment ago. We're getting a little bit more structure in there. I'm going to just bring in the bottom of his tail, and then I'm going to get that in there, like so. I've got his foot and this branch, and I'm going to move that back a bit. I'm not worried about making mistakes, so I said to you, keep working it up. And then I'm going to bring his leg in, and it's going to be sitting out there with a few claws just draping around that branch. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's because I'm at a bit of a difficult angle to be drawing, so you can see it crisper than I can. But you can see there. Now at this stage, you then want to take a nice clean rubber, which I'm desperately trying to find. My rubbers are absolutely messy and covered in blue, and start taking out those kind of guidelines and the thought paths that you were initially laying down to get everything in the right place, in the right size. Okay, just like so. So just cleaning it up and getting rid of all the marks you don't want. Make sure you do this quite thoroughly. Okay, like so. Now he's still a very simplistic bird, don't get me wrong, but he's getting there. Now at this stage, Then we start working up more of the accurate observations. And you can work anywhere you want because you know roughly where everything should be and how big it should be. So I'm going to just start with the beak, and I've slid my hand right down my pencil, as you can see here. And I'm building up that shape there. I'm looking at how it cuts into the head, any slight angles, and making sure it fits the scale that I was looking at. So I'm looking at this part of the beak, for instance, in relationship to that part, comes back further, I can see the hair coming up here, and that hair's going to flick up like that. Hair's kind of coming down, I can see that arching underneath the eye, and I'm still not happy with this eye position. So I'm going to just take that out and jiggle it a little bit more left. I'm then going to fine tune the shape a little bit more. As you can see, just like that. Get the orange kind of coming down here, going up. And got hair coming out here. So, now birds always kind of push up their chest in these pictures, so you'll find that they're usually a little bit more chesty, and then as it comes down, they should come in a little bit. And then it kind of comes out again, just down here. Not that I've drawn many birds or anything, but just good observation. Eye coming back here. Now I think the head's still too far back, so I'm going to take that out and I'm going to bring that in. See how I'm not perfect, I'm making mistakes in that earlier stage, but I've realised them and I'm starting to fix them, and that's the important part. Admit your errors, be honest, and go in and sort them out. So you get a little bit of lump, and then it kind of comes back out again, and that line gives me the guide, so that should come out and then go in. You're basically looking at all the kinks and curves, just like so. Now it gets a little bit more hard work down here because obviously you've got to get all this wing pattern in. Just take your time. You might find it easier to put in guidelines, so I can see, like for instance, there's a colour that comes down here and it feeds up. I reckon I'm a little bit lower, feed that up a little bit higher. That's going to come down here. So, and then we're going to start working in the wings. So with the wings, create some basic boundary patterns and areas. You can see here I'm looking at the shapes, and I think I might end up pulling it up. I think I might have stretched him a little bit, so I'm just going to pull him up. I'm going to pull that up as well, because it's going to be a knock-on effect. shape. Comes out around like so. So because I've pulled that up, that probably means I need to pull the rest of it up. Bring that up into there. I'm going to lift up his leg. Just shimmy that in, like so. We've got to get, with a pencil drawing, especially with a coloured pencil drawing, quite an accurate drawing to work into, because they're a lot like colouring in. So therefore take your time to get a nice accurate drawing and to get the lines correct. Also give yourself boundaries in different component areas of here. You can see here at the moment I'm just working in some feathers. I've got my left hand on the feathers that I'm working, so I can see and I can check that I'm getting the right number of feathers in the location and that they're roughly the correct angle. So I could check my angle if I wanted to, which are roughly right, and that the number of feathers sitting in that area are also correct. I'm going to bring that down, up and around, and then I'm going to work underneath. So I've got these feathers here. Now a lot of the time it's easy to get caught in these very straight lines. These are wrapping around a three-dimensional form, you must remember that. So they're curved. See that curve in there? And you'll find because they're curved, some of these have little gaps and some of them have bigger gaps. Different parts of the feather connection, so you can see. Let me just go down here. I'm going to get some of these hooked in, so that's going to sit right below. And then they start coming down a little bit longer. And we get those curves coming in. Like so. Now I've got a few just poking out around here. I'm going to add those on. And because I'm trying to do it super quick, it's not the most perfect of drawings, but it gives you the idea of kind of where you should be going at with your own work. And let's get a tail in over here. And the tail kind of twists. So you've got these other ones, and then this back section runs in and then comes out and back in. Hoops around there and back in there. Hopefully you should be getting a bird that looks a little bit more like this. Now again, because you're going to be using the coloured pencils, you need to go in with an eraser and make sure that you take out any of your guidelines. Otherwise the guidelines will be able to be seen through the layered pencil. This is also a good reason to keep your lines soft and delicate, more so than I have. Like I said, I'm just going a bit darker so that you can see them easier with the camera. I wouldn't normally be this dark. Oh, now I'm guessing that he might rather quite like a foot, so let's put his foot in. You can see how much he's moved, because originally his foot's over here, which is way too far to the left. I need to shimmy it over to the right. So I'm going to just get that leg poking in here. I need to bring it up. See how I've dropped it down a bit. And then I'm going to just bring that in around there to give me an idea of where I want that branch to be. I'm going to come in, crisp up my drawing. So that my branch is down here. And it goes off to a bit of a wonk. Claws just wrap in there beautifully. As like that. And you should be able to see a little bit of branch just coming up here, if all is well. and that branch is coming out through the back and up like so. Now let's just see how that looks. So take a moment, step back, have a view. Also, it is sometimes really good to have a walk, go off somewhere else, look at something just for a few more minutes. You can get a bit of tunnel vision when you're drawing, and you can make errors and you can't see them because you're just so on top of the drawing. And if you come back with fresh eyes, then you'll find usually a lot of the time you'll see the odd bit that you've gone wrong and that you need to just fine tune to make the artwork look much more stronger than it would have without that moment's break. You can see I'm just doodling around here, getting this foot right. It's not perfect, but it'll be good enough for the project to show you how to handle this. Now, if you look at him around here, he's got this very light white that we've got to build up and use the paper off. I've got to be careful because I've got to cut into that background. You can see up here these type of marks that I've generated for the hair, and they're more lines cutting in rather than one linear line. We've got some zigzagging, and I'm just going to go along the outside of my bird and give me more options of those zigzag kind of lines to work into. It's got quite a fluffy bum actually. I was just looking at that. Let's just fluff up his bum. Give him just a few twinkly little lines. Let's bring that in a little bit tighter. Like so. Quite smooth down here, so that's not a problem. It's smooth on the tail. Just going to lift off some of that for the tail so that the orange shows through. And hopefully you've got a bird that looks just like this now. So once you've got your bird that looks just like hey presto, we need to start working up some colour. And it's rather nice with pencil work because it's so slow, it's gentle. However, the main problem is if you do make a mistake, it can be an absolute pain to get off the paper. So I would say don't make a mistake. The best way of not making a mistake is to work light to dark. That means that we need to look at putting these soft, light, creamy oranges in before we do any browns or any blacks or anything like that. Okay, so keep that in mind. I am going to work on the body here really to get that ready. So I've got a white, which is going to be helpful. It's pretty good at blending and getting a tone to be nice and smooth into one's transition up to another. And I'm looking at this orange. I've got an orange, it looks pretty good actually. I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to start building up some marks. And I'm thinking about feathers, and I'm also thinking about leaving the white edge because you can see how white that edge is. I'm building up just like so. Lots of little feathery lines. I'm going to build up multiple layers of to generate a nice accurate observation. Now a lot of the time with animals and most things, you can get away with going a little bit wrong with your colour choice as long as you get the tonal contrast in the correct place. So that means that where it's dark, it needs to be dark, and where it's light, it needs to be light. You therefore have to be quite gentle and careful with an area such as this. With these pencils you'll find that the harder you press down and the more you layer up, the denser the colour becomes and the stronger the colour becomes. If you need somewhere that's smooth and gentle, obviously put down just a few soft whispery marks. Now I'm going to put this very soft light brown. I'm going to build into a little bit of this as well. It's a little bit darker than I wanted it to be then, but I'm going to come in with some white and start working that up, and the white should lighten it a little bit. Be very gentle. Right, so you should be getting something that looks like this. Now I'm just going to put in a little bit for the beak. So again, I'm grabbing a very light orange. Just working in. It's got a light beam down the top of there. A light reflection, light beam. It's got its own laser system. Bring in nice smooth colour contrast. Add in a little bit of red because it's quite a zappy orange he's on his beak. Okay, I just need to sharpen up my pencils because they're getting a little bit blunt. And by a little bit blunt, I mean literally they're not as sharp at the end that I need them to be. So you do need to keep these really very pointed to get into this level of detail. And fundamentally you've got a bird, okay, just like this. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of background. So first of all I'm going to just draft in that stick, working with the colours I've still got, so ultimately a little bit more brown. Looking at where your light source is coming from on this stick, that's the important bit to make it look three-dimensional. That shadowy tone. Grab a little bit of white, blend that in. And then let's put a little bit of background shade in. So this has got snow. I do not have a grey. I can make a grey usually by the black and white base. It looks a little bit blue to me. I've got a nice blue. Probably going to end up using both of them. So let's just put in a little bit of blue. That's behind because it'll throw up the whiteness of the feathers on the chest by bringing in this background shade. also means I can fix my detail around the beak. I'm going to grab an eraser and see if I can lift off the worst of it, which I can because I caught it early. That's good. But I still want to put in a little bit of a backgroundy shade. Otherwise it looks so empty. Now remember that when colours sit next to each other, they will make another colour look different. The relationship of colour is really important within an artwork. I take that, I'm just going to sharpen up my white because it's getting a little bit low. And blend that out a little bit so it makes it a bit more softer and hazy, appears more natural. Keep it patchy, be very gentle on your downward pressure. So let's just clean up a little bit of detail, add a bit of shadow just on your twig. As you can see as it runs down this right hand side. Remember to be a bit bitty because it's not crisp and mermaid, it's a bit wonky. Just take your time, look at the detail. Up. I'm going to bring up a little bit on that left because I haven't got any shadow in the background on that side, and then I've got to just do a little bit up here as well. Remember it's out of focus up here, so it's just very fuzzy, not too crisp a detail. Take that claw. I'm going to add a little bit more orange on just to set that one up down there. Okay, a little zappy here and there you might want. Okay, just as you can see there, I'm going to add a little bit of orange on there, like a bit of reflection. Okay, and you should hopefully by this point end up with something that looks like this. Now with pencil drawing, a lot of it is a layering process. You can see there, really the more colours you've got, the better and more accurate the work can be. But you can do some great work with just a very limited number of colours. You know, ultimately I use black, white, red, orange, yellow and a soft tone of brown with a little bit of blue for my background. And I've got away with quite a nice picture. Anyway, I hope you've had fun and you have a go at it at home. I'll see you next week. Bye everyone.